More sanctions are coming down the pipe. The South Korean government announced a new set of unilateral sanctions on North Korea effective today.
A Russian newspaper reports that North Korea has a plan to send 2 satellites into orbit. In February 2016, Pyongyang launched what it called a rocket carrying a satellite, but it was widely believed to be a test of a long-range ballistic missile. The government-backed newspaper quotes military expert Vladimir Krustalev. He recently visited North Korea and met with aerospace officials. The officials reportedly did not mention a specific date for launching the 2 satellites. One is said to be for Earth observation and weighs over 100 kilograms. The other is a communications satellite weighing more than 1 ton. The Russian expert says the plan seems credible in light of the advances North Korea has made with missile technology. North Korea claimed the launch last year was part of a space development program and a legitimate right for a sovereign state. The UN Security Council condemned it as a clear violation of a UN resolution.
More sanctions are coming down the pipe. The South Korean government announced a new set of unilateral sanctions on North Korea effective today, some 2 weeks after the regime test-fired its latest ballistic missile. Seoul's foreign ministry says the measures will clamp down on 20 North Korean firms and 12 new individuals in the hope of serving the inflow of illegal funds into the north. But the upgrade sanctions are nothing new, as Seoul confirmed that the newly added firms and individuals were taken from existing U.S. sanctions with no new targets identified, adding it highlighted the strength of the South Korea-U.S. alliance. The latest package of sanctions is the second of its kind under the relatively young Moon Jae-in administration since it rolled out unilateral sanctions in November when it put 18 individuals on its blacklist. And North Korea isn't alone when it comes to being squeezed by the international community. The Trump administration has been pushing China to sever oil supplies to North Korea as a measure against its nuclear program, something experts say could cause mass starvation in the north. David Von Hippel, a senior associate at a California-based think tank Nautilus Institute, says an oil embargo would likely devastate North Korea's agricultural sector, which could lead to food shortages for its 25 million citizens. The north is said to be struggling and has suffered a devastating famine before. Back in mid-1990s, around 1 million people died from starvation in North Korea.
Korea's nuclear and missile development is the target of new sanctions by South Korea. The measures go into effect Monday with the aim of cutting off funding. South Korea's foreign ministry says the measures are in response to Pyongyang's test launch last month of its ICBM grade model, the Hwasong-15. The sanctions target 20 North Korean organizations, including banks and trading companies, said to have been involved in raising funds. 12 North Korean individuals are also on the list. They are based abroad and include members of the military's intelligence arm. This is the second set of sanctions introduced under President Moon Jae-in. The first, announced in early November, targeted 18 individuals.
U.S. ambassador to the United Nations says North Korea has become increasingly paranoid due to its growing isolation on the international stage. Haley also said pressure must be maintained on the regime, expressing alarm over its recent missile developments. Eugene He reports.
Ambassador Nikki Haley told CNN on Sunday that Pyongyang's feeling the heat of international sanctions that have impacted its trade and narrowed its diplomatic horizons. She also expressed concerns over their country's weapons programs, acknowledging that the regime's latest missile test was more powerful than anything seen previously and a serious matter. In light of this, Haley stressed the importance of keeping a pressure on the regime with the help of the international community. The diplomat estimates that global sanctions on North Korea have cut off 90% of its total trade and 30% of its access to oil, saying every penny in revenues is money that could be diverted to its weapons programs. Haley expressed confidence that sanctions measures have already had a tremendous effect in achieving their goals. Meanwhile, Washington's top nuclear envoy is scheduled to visit Japan and Thailand this week to discuss ways to move forward with its pressure campaign on North Korea. According to the State Department, Joseph Yoon, the U.S. Special Representative for North Korea policy, is aiming to strengthen its partnership with both countries to encourage Pyongyang's return to the negotiating table. North Korea has test-fired 23 missiles since February, including an ICBM, which it claims can hit any part of the mainland United States. The message from the Trump administration remains mixed, however, switching between calls for dialogue and threats of military conflict.